Welcome everyone to this session titled Identify Risks Process for Construction Projects, Uncovering Uncertainty to Build Stronger Projects, brought to you by Roa Handisia. This crucial step in risk management helps us uncover uncertainties that may affect our projects, thereby transforming unknowns into known factors we can plan for. By the end of this session, you will have a clearer picture of how structured risk identification builds stronger, more resilient construction projects. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to define what the Identify Risks process means in the context of the PMBOK guide, explain the inputs, tools, and outputs that guide this process, apply common and advanced risk identification techniques in construction environments, build and interpret a risk register effectively, and finally, reflect on real-world case studies to understand how theory translates into practice. Think of this as a roadmap. We will move from definition and purpose to application and reflection. Imagine a project where one missed risk costs $1 million, a cracked bridge, a halted construction, or a delayed opening. Not from lack of effort, but from a risk left unidentified. Most such losses can be prevented. Construction projects face countless uncertainties, from design flaws and equipment failure to financial and safety issues. The real danger isn't the risk itself, but failing to detect it early. The Identify Risks process helps uncover potential threats before they escalate, enabling teams to plan, prioritize, and protect objectives. Structured risk identification transforms uncertainty into foresight, and foresight into control. The Identify Risks process is all about discovery and documentation. It's where we uncover potential threats and opportunities that might affect our project objectives. We identify both individual risks, specific issues like equipment failure or design errors, and overall project risks, such as weak governance or funding uncertainty. This process builds a structured list of all known risks, giving project teams an informed starting point for decision-making. By identifying risks early, we can prioritize them, plan responses, and reduce the element of surprise later in the project. The benefits of systematic risk identification are significant. It ensures that no risk goes unnoticed or undocumented. It builds the foundation for analysis and response planning, strengthening our ability to act proactively rather than reactively. It enhances stakeholder confidence because everyone can see that the project is being managed with awareness and accountability. And perhaps most importantly, it reduces uncertainty. When risks are visible, they can be managed. Unidentified risks are unmanaged risks, and unmanaged risks are the ones that cause the biggest problems. Within the risk management framework, Identify Risks is the first active process after planning. It follows the development of the risk management plan and sets the stage for everything that follows, from qualitative and quantitative analysis to developing and implementing responses. You can think of it as building the master list, the foundation of your risk database. And remember, it's not a one-time activity. It must be revisited and updated regularly throughout the project lifecycle, especially when new information emerges or the project scope changes. To identify risks effectively, we rely on accurate and complete project information. These inputs include project management plans, cost and schedule estimates, scope baselines, stakeholder registers, procurement and contract documents, and historical data or lessons learned from previous projects. Each of these documents helps us uncover different types of risks: technical, financial, environmental, or contractual. For instance, reviewing previous project reports might reveal recurring design coordination issues, a signal that should not be ignored in future projects. The Identify Risks process uses a combination of tools and techniques to uncover uncertainties that could affect project objectives. Let's explore the key approaches that make this process structured, consistent, and effective in capturing both threats and opportunities. We start with expert judgment, insights from experienced professionals and subject matter experts who understand the project environment. Their knowledge helps identify risks that documents or data alone might miss. Data gathering techniques, such as brainstorming sessions, checklists, and interviews, help collect potential risk information from different perspectives. These methods ensure a broad and inclusive understanding of project uncertainty. Through data analysis, the team applies methods like root cause analysis, SWOT, and assumption or constraint analysis to uncover hidden vulnerabilities and opportunities for improvement. Interpersonal and team skills are also essential. Facilitated discussions and collaboration help reduce bias, encourage participation, and ensure that everyone's experience contributes to identifying risks. Prompt lists, such as the PESTLE, TCOP, or VUCA frameworks, guide the team to review all possible external and internal risk categories, ensuring comprehensive coverage. Finally, meetings, including dedicated risk workshops, bring key stakeholders together to capture input, validate findings, and document risks clearly in the register. Complementary tools also strengthen the process, such as the Delphi technique, which seeks expert consensus when uncertainty is high, and checklists and templates, which ensure that common or historical risks are not overlooked. Together, these tools and techniques transform risk identification from a guesswork exercise into a structured, evidence-based, and collaborative process, helping project teams anticipate problems before they occur and seize opportunities for improvement. This process produces several key outputs: tangible deliverables that capture, communicate, and help manage the risks identified throughout the project. Let's explore the three main outputs that ensure project risks are properly tracked, reported, and continuously refined. First, the risk register. This is the primary output and the foundation of all future risk analysis and planning. The risk register records every identified risk along with its potential owner and any preliminary response strategies. It includes a list of identified risks, the assigned risk owners, and suggested responses. In practice, this document becomes a living record, updated regularly as new risks appear and existing ones evolve. Next, the risk report. While the register lists all individual risks, the risk report takes a broader view. It summarizes the project's overall risk exposure and highlights key threats and opportunities that require management attention. The report typically includes a summary of significant risks, emerging trends and categories, and an assessment of the overall project risk level. In other words, the risk report tells the story behind the data, providing insights that guide executive decisions and communication with stakeholders. Finally, project document updates. As risks are identified and analyzed, related project documents must also be updated. These updates include the assumption log, the issue log, and the lessons learned register. Each update ensures that the information gained through risk identification strengthens future project planning and decision-making. For example, revisiting assumptions can reveal where the team may have underestimated uncertainty, while lessons learned help prevent recurring issues in future projects. Together, the risk register, the risk report, and project document updates create a continuous feedback loop. They ensure that risks are not only captured and communicated, but are also reviewed, refined, and continuously managed throughout the project lifecycle. These outputs serve as essential inputs to all subsequent risk management processes, ensuring continuity from identification through analysis and response, and ultimately helping project teams anticipate challenges, adapt to change, and deliver successful outcomes. To make the process more effective, here are 6 key points to keep in mind. Engage diverse stakeholders, including designers, contractors, and safety officers. Use a risk breakdown structure to categorize risks hierarchically. Leverage historical data. What went wrong before might happen again. Combine quantitative and qualitative inputs. Document risks clearly and in a standardized format. And validate your findings with field experts who understand site realities. Remember, clarity and communication are the lifeblood of risk management. Let's move from theory to practice. Our case study examines large-scale power station construction projects in Egypt. These projects involved multiple contracts, subcontractors, and stakeholders. The objective was to develop a structured risk identification framework tailored to these complex projects. The study aimed to both improve early detection and documentation of risks, and to enhance communication between clients, consultants, and contractors. This is a great example of how structured processes can be customized for national infrastructure projects. The researchers conducted detailed questionnaire surveys and interviews with experts from several ongoing projects. They combined contract analysis with on-site observations to ensure a realistic understanding of risks. However, several challenges were identified: fragmented communication among project stakeholders, a lack of standard procedures for recording or ranking risks, and limited access to reliable historical data about past risk events. These challenges highlight the importance of having a consistent and systematic approach, something that too many projects still lack. The project achieved several tangible benefits through structured and collaborative risk management. First, a structured risk identification process was established, introducing a clear, step-by-step methodology for recognizing and categorizing risks. This included the development of a comprehensive checklist addressing contractual, technical, financial, and environmental areas, ensuring no potential risk was overlooked. Second, stakeholder awareness significantly improved. Collaborative workshops were organized, bringing together owners, consultants, and contractors to discuss project risks openly. As a result, participants developed a mutual understanding of uncertainties and interdependencies, fostering better coordination and shared ownership of risk management activities. Building on the established foundation of structured processes and stakeholder engagement, we move to the third benefit: embracing data-driven decision-making. Third, the team embraced data-driven decision-making. Risks were prioritized using frequency impact matrices, allowing the team to focus on high-impact issues first. Clear roles and responsibilities were defined for documenting and managing risks, reducing duplication and avoiding conflict between parties. Finally, the project demonstrated strong quantitative and qualitative outcomes. Early risk identification helped prevent schedule delays and cost overruns through timely, preventive actions. Risk visibility improved through consistent reporting and a centralized risk register. These measures strengthened contract administration, minimized disputes over risk ownership, and established a repeatable model for future infrastructure projects across Egypt's power sector. The risk breakdown structure is like a family tree of risks. It organizes them into logical categories such as technical, external, organizational, project management, and environmental risks. Using a risk breakdown structure helps teams ensure that no category is ignored and supports better communication. For example, under technical risks, you might include design errors, inadequate testing, or material failures. Under environmental risks, you might consider weather impacts or regulatory changes. This structure becomes the backbone of your risk register. The risk register is the key deliverable from this process. It's not just a list. It's a living, evolving document that records each identified risk, its category, root cause, potential impact, probability, assigned owner, and planned response strategy. In construction, keeping this document updated is critical. Projects evolve quickly, and new risks appear as others disappear. Think of it as your project's health report. If it's blank or outdated, the team is flying blind. From the case study and broader practice, several key lessons stand out. Risk identification must be systematic, data-driven, and inclusive. Combining contract analysis with field experience produces realistic results. Stakeholder participation fosters transparency and shared ownership. Structured tools like checklists, matrices, and registers improve accountability and communication. Evidence-based identification enhances cost control, schedule reliability, and coordination across project teams. When everyone speaks a common risk language, performance improves dramatically. Now let's pause and reflect. Think about a construction project you've studied, worked on, or observed. How were risks identified? Were they documented systematically or handled informally through experience and intuition? If documentation was lacking, what impact might that have had on the project outcome? Delays, cost overruns, or quality issues? A structured, documented approach doesn't just satisfy audit requirements. It actually changes behavior, making projects more predictable and manageable. With that reflection complete, let's check your understanding with this quick quiz. Which of the following best describes the purpose of the Identify Risks process? A. To assign risk owners and plan mitigation actions. B. To document potential risks and their characteristics. C. To evaluate risk probability and impact. D. To monitor risk responses during execution. The correct answer is B. To document potential risks and their characteristics. Without documentation, there's no basis for analysis or action. As we conclude our lecture, let's summarize the key insights. The Identify Risks process is the first active step in managing project uncertainty. It transforms unknowns into knowns, creating a foundation for analysis and proactive response. Through systematic identification, we enhance communication, build confidence, and improve the quality of decisions. When done well, risk identification turns uncertainty into opportunity, allowing teams to anticipate challenges rather than react to crises. The key references supporting this presentation are as follows. First, the Project Management Institute 2017, a guide to the project management body of knowledge, known as the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. This guide provides the global standard framework for effective project management practices. Second, Hassanein and Afifi 2007. Their study, titled A Risk Identification Procedure for Construction Contracts, a case study of power station projects in Egypt, was published in the Civil Engineering and Environmental Systems Journal. It offers practical insights into structured risk identification and management in large-scale infrastructure projects. Thank you for watching and engaging in this session. Remember, risk identification is not just a paperwork exercise. It's a mindset of awareness, collaboration, and continuous learning. When we identify risks early and document them effectively, we create the conditions for safer, more predictable, and ultimately more successful construction projects. If you found the contents of this lecture valuable, please consider liking and subscribing.